Hey guys, over here. Welcome back to another Raid Challenges video. We've got the Reflex set double drops today. By the way, I hope you've got a good Saturday going on so far. I always forget to say that to my viewers. I forget that you guys are a person such as me, and you put in those 5-10 minutes of your day to watch my videos. Thank you so much. I forget to say it, but yeah, thank you, and I hope you had a good Saturday. Anyway, getting started with the video for today is the Reflex set. I wanted to show you guys a fun part of the Reflex set, using it on a champion, an uncommon champion. It's been some time. And then the actual uses that you will be doing with the Reflex set and how it compares with the very similar set, the Relentless set. So we got the drop fever right now in the Ice Golem tournament, which goes ahead with the 2x at the same time. The Ice Golem, not so frequently farmed. I'm not gonna lie. I never farmed this dungeon. The reason is I pretty much would only do it for maybe resistance gear, but there's better gear from that through farming Doom Tower and basically the Reflex gear. And this is the best chance for you to get any good pieces for this. And if you really need it, then you go for it and spend your energy here. But it's a difficult dungeon. It's not an easy dungeon to farm because of the way that the skills work. It's not as easy as the other two dungeons. I would say like the Spider and Dragon. Fire Knight, of course, it's difficult on its own, but I would say this can be the most difficult in creating a team to farm the highest difficulty, especially if you're struggling on gear and you're pushing like on a low end account. But if you got that on farm, then is Reflex farming good for you? Let me show you a small showcase of the uncommon I'm talking about. Before we get on to the more serious topics, like Shieldguard right here is a notorious champion with a Reflex set that is very, very fun to use with. The reason that I'm saying this is because the Reflex set has a 40% chance to reduce one random skill cooldown. This makes it an easy decision for champions that have just one extra skill, and that's uncommon champions. Although Shieldguard does have an extra skill, that's a passive, so he does have this Battle Stance, which is a 2-turn cooldown skill, which attacks all enemies, fills the turn meter by 20% on each critical hit. So he gets an extra turn pretty much if the targets are 5 targets or more, right? You'll get an extra turn. And if you've got him a little bit fast, then that becomes even crazier and crazier. And my Reflex sets are not the best. So what I have with him is a 204 speed Reflex, 258 crit damage, with a 3000 defense. The defense is very low for a defense-based champion, but remember, this is an uncommon. We cannot do faction guardians, we cannot do empowerment, and we cannot do blessings on uncommon. They really taken the game away from those since 2022 started, I would say. When did empowerment come into play? I think it was before that, wasn't it? Anyway, we also have the Reflex refresh gear that goes very well with how the Reflex set work. In case you don't get the cooldown reduction, you'll get a lucky refresh proc, and it's pretty much the same thing. But if you don't, then it's fine. The Reflex has 40% chance. And comparing it to a Relentless set, why wouldn't you use a Relentless set on this guy? Is basically taking the substats out of the equation. So if you've got better Reflex or better Relentless, what you want to see is you're going to be using Relentless gear on champions that have got multiple skills that can be useful, and getting that extra turn can also be beneficial. Let's say for the Hydra, let's say for reducing those buffs that you have on you, so the Head of Mischief does not target you. That's one of the reasons I use Relentless more than Reflex, and I don't really try to farm for Reflex ever since. Also, the more you use multiple skills, the less good Reflex becomes, because it will be randomly reducing the skill. So if a champion has only one extra skill, and especially a 2-turn cooldown skill, then Reflex becomes godlike and the most important set to equip in that champion. Let's just see on how Shieldguard works with this one. Right, let's go. I was having some fun in the spider dungeon with this because he's strong enough to kill the spiders, and he's getting insane amount of turns. Just have a look at Shieldguard right here. Boom. Look at the bonus turn meter. He goes in with the A1, decreased speed, by the way. He'll get an extra turn. He'll get a turn in a little bit, and you'll see what he can do. And boom, he slaps it, gains a bonus turn because of the turn meter, slaps it again. We're seeing the refresh, by the way, so oftenly come into play, but the reflex is also part of that, what makes this so cool. So boom, he attacks. Look at the bonus turn meter and then the decreased cooldown. That's his A2 getting reduced to a 1 turn cooldown. He goes in, he attacks, and basically this build he can actually solo the Spider 13, but it's not an easy build to do, and there's no reason to actually build this whatsoever. Okay, this was just for fun, but it's an amazing thing to see, like him just keep on spamming that A2 over and over. He gets a little bit of a heal through the life trigger mastery, but there's so many builds that you can do with this champion, especially when he's getting those extra turns and the reflex proccing over and over again. It's just so much fun to see Shieldguard with this. But an actual showcase of the reflex set. So how would you actually use the reflex gear? The reflex gear actually can be used in many situations, even on Royal Guard, which I mentioned. He's got multiple good skills, but primarily used for endgame builds on Geomancer and Husk. So Husk doesn't need his A3 skill, he only uses his A2 skill, while Royal Guard can use the decreased speed skill if you don't have a decreased speed champion already. So Geomancer does have the reflex gear. We'll have a look at how this can work, but because he basically uses the A3 on the majority of the time, what you do is you lock out his A2 with the custom AI presets, and this makes it so that you never do the A2. You only have the A3 to be reduced in cooldown by the reflex set. And if he manages to steal the turn meter by the number of the turn meter that the target loses, then we can have potentially a 2-turn cooldown, plus the reflex proc becomes a 1-turn cooldown, or a refresh accessory proc becomes 0 and you do it again, and he becomes unstoppable and just spreading around those HP burns if there's multiple targets, or if there's only one target, you basically ensure that you place that HP burn. Great example for this is going to be like this spider team. I've disabled the A2 here on the custom AI, and you can actually do here the first choice, primary choice on the A3 for quicksand grasp to be repeatedly used by Geomancer whenever it's available. Of course, the targeting from AI and Geomancer, the way it works is it's very, it's very strange. It doesn't always target the spider boss, but we'll see on how this does, and we'll see on how many times we'll actually have the reflex gear proc. There it is, the decrease in cooldown once he got a turn. So he should have it available once again right about when he gets his next turn. There it is, quicksand grasp used on the boss there. And now whenever the small spiders attack me, you'll see the boss actually taking a lot of damage just because of the way that the HP burn from Geomancer works. And why would you want to have that A3 repeat? I mean, you have the HP burn already. Well, it's the turn meter manipulation that you want to be using over and over again. And in teams like these where you cannot really have those cold cards, maybe you are very unlucky, you use something like this with a combination of good gear and thinking about the good strategy to follow with that specific champion, then you can actually go ahead and take down and have a team that farms the spider. I mean, not as quickly as an AoE HP burn team, but very quick. And even so, even with just reflect gear that you have available. So we see the combination of the 100% turn meter reductions. One is from Geomancer and the other is from Leech, and that really helps us push through. The stuns actually don't help you get the run going so quickly because those stop the spiders from attacking, but you need more control when you're building these teams more than anything because of the way that the spiderlings work with the amount of damage that they do. You want to get some control and you want to let the others attack so you can use your healers. Go on the other times where you're getting attacked, go and heal your lowest HP ally, and then you do that, and that's basically like a strategy for Spider. Spider can be beaten by so many ways, but this is just utilizing the skill set that a specific champion has available. And for this one, I wouldn't say you can do it with any HP burn champion because of how good that the passive from Geomancer has, where he does damage when your team gets attacked to the target of the HP burn. So Very specific. Hope I didn't confuse you with that, by the way. Too many words. But it is what it is. What it is. It's an amazing combo. It's an amazing piece of gear. But I've always found myself being on the bad side of the RNG, where I don't get the gear that I want no matter how much ice golem I farm. So I never really bothered, and since I mostly was looking for that relentless piece of gear, then I went ahead and equipped my champions with those. But you can see like the power of it and how you can fit it into champions and make those teams possible in dungeons where you feel like you don't have the team yet, but you can actually make a team possible with it. That being said, Reflex is not the only thing that we have available in the game. Refresh gear is also very good. Masteries are also very good to consider always. You can even get the Cycle of Magic mastery here for that 5% chance, but it will never replace the high chance that the Reflex here has, or multiple pieces of refresh gear, or just having enough speed on your champions to be taking multiple turns over the enemies, plus decreased speed on the enemies, stunning the enemies, having enough control and proper theory crafting before you go and get into a dungeon fight. So, that being said, this was the video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. What do you think about Reflex versus Relentless? Which one would you prefer using the most on your champions? And let me know your favorites down below in the comments. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.